In this episode, I'm going to show you how to come up with a topic for your webinar that's going to get people super excited to sign up and actually show up, okay? Now, this is something a lot of people struggle with because they don't know what their audience wants or really what might be helpful for them. But don't worry, I got you covered in this episode. I'm going to break down the top 4 rules that I set for myself and for my clients when we are deciding on what webinar topic to use to promote that back-end offer. Before I dive into that, let me tell you why I love webinars so much, okay? First of all, they are seriously fun. No joke. I really enjoy doing them. Once you get through the build out, like setting up your funnels, setting up your emails and all that jazz, they can be super fun, but they can also be super rewarding, especially when you know that you have all that automation and tech side of things done, where you can just show up and do what you love, aka help people achieve XYZ. Webinars make a fantastic lead magnet because you can generate people's contact information and provide some serious value. People want answers to their problems. And that's what we teach within webinars. They want answers to their problems. But they also allow you to really connect with people and promote yourself in real time. People get to see your face. They get to hear your voice versus just judging you behind a screen in an email, let's say. Now, obviously, I know you are still behind the screen with webinars, but it's different to hear someone teach and educate on a webinar versus opening up their emails or reading someone's PDF. Another huge reason why I love them is that you can actually engage with people. Ask questions, get them talking to you, have them communicate back to you throughout your webinar. You can really build relationships pretty quickly here and get to the nitty-gritty. So I usually try to engage as much as I can with my audience throughout my webinar, but even more so at the very end of my webinar. If you have an open question and answer session, you again are really just speaking to that person specifically, and you can help them out of a sticky situation or help them realize that your offer is the solution in a really non-salesy way. The key to perfect webinars is ensuring that you are delivering the right content and speaking about the right topic, though. Like I said, I typically follow 4 sets of rules when determining the right webinar topic for myself or for my clients. The first thing that you have to do is you want to make sure that you're choosing a relevant topic to your audience. You need to find a unique angle or perspective on a topic that actually solves a major problem. And it's super fun and effective when you do it based on something that you know that you can teach or that you're super passionate about. And lastly, it needs to lead them right into your offer, okay? I'm going to break these down more in just a second, but before I do, let me just say that one of the biggest mistakes that people make, and honestly, one mistake that I made over and over again, is over-delivering. When coming up with your webinar topic and even just presenting the webinar itself, do not, and I'll say it again, do not give everything that you know away. Or another way to look at it is if you want them, really during the webinar, what you want to do is give them that overall picture, but you don't want to jam-pack them with the knowledge so much that they feel like they don't actually need you anymore. Which is kind of getting me into, it has to lead to that offer that you do on the back end. So before I get off topic and jump right to rule number 4, let me back it up a bit and make sure I hit on all 4 rules, okay? So the first one, the very first one that you need to pay attention to is making sure that you choose a topic that is relevant to your audience. This one may be obvious as I'm saying it out loud, but you would be surprised how many people choose a webinar topic that their audience literally cares nothing about. If your offer is how to make sourdough bread, and suddenly you're doing a webinar and promoting it on building a feature wall in your bedroom, you are way off topic, even though you may have done that feature wall. Some people may be interested, but you really are steering away from what your audience looks at you as that expert as. So before you even think about your webinar topic, I want you to do one thing, okay? I want you to step into your dream client shoes. You know, I can go on and on about how it needs to be super clear on who you are talking to, but the key is to make sure that you really understand what does your audience care about? And even more importantly, what is one problem that they are facing right now that you know that you can help them solve? Which takes me to rule number 2. If you know one problem your audience has right now, and you know that you can help them find a way out of that problem, that right there is a key indicator that you have a great webinar topic brewing in your mind. Now, I'm saying one problem, and I'm really emphasizing that to you because I know our audience has many issues that you can help them solve. But remember, you do not want to give everything away and help them solve everything. You simply want to choose one problem that your audience has, and of course, something that they care enough about and they're actually looking for that solution, and you want to be that voice behind that solution. Finding that unique angle or perspective on that problem is going to be key as well, okay? How can you take your audience from where they are right now to where they actually want to be? We live in a world where information is literally at our fingertips. If it's on a TV show, if it's in blogs, on YouTube videos, on other people's podcasts, on social media, you name it. We can literally find anything that we are looking for. So when you are trying to come up with your webinar topic, the key is to position it in a way that is intriguing, it's offering a solution, but at the same time, it's also giving a new perspective. Always ask yourself, why would they want this? How can this help them? And honestly, throughout your entire webinar, you should be answering one question that your audience would be asking in the back of their mind. How is this going to help me? If you can answer that in your webinar topic, plus throughout the entire webinar, you'll be golden. Now, of course, to deliver a practical webinar, which directly impacts the webinar topic that you're going to be delivering, you have to know, what are you talking about? So when you are live, when you're presenting, you have people asking you questions, it will be a serious dead giveaway that you have no idea what you're talking about if you're fumbling and you're really just trying to come up with the answer saying, let me see. People can feel it in their gut if you aren't knowledgeable on the topic that you are teaching, let alone, it's really just not a good practice to get into. So please avoid teaching things that you don't know about. You don't want to deliver a topic that isn't your expertise. The people coming will trust you, or at least hopefully they're going to trust you to solve the problem that you're promising that you're going to solve. If it doesn't work, they're going to remember that and it's going to hurt you. So if you can choose a topic that you are seriously passionate about, that will also come across. You can really, really hear that passion in someone's voice. If it's a one-on-one strategy call or if it's on a webinar, I am honestly told very often that people can tell that I'm passionate about what I do. Some people seriously think I'm crazy when I'm literally just smiling from ear to ear, talking about sales funnels and lead generation and everything that we can do. But it is what it is. I love helping people. And I think that's what's possible in the online world. It's seriously fascinating. And it can be so life-changing for entrepreneurs. And people can hear that in my voice and they can see it in my face. I love talking about this stuff. So if you can do the same thing on your webinar, like I said, you're going to be golden. This alone will make a huge, huge difference in your conversion rate on the back end once the webinar is done as well. So make sure you choose your topic that is something that you know about the topic and you generally enjoy doing it or talking about it. Plus, it will also make delivering that webinar so much better and so much more fun. Not to mention, if you know what you are teaching and you teach it well, you would have shown off your expert knowledge to these people very easily. And before you know it, they would be coming over to you with their problems. And you know what that means. It's kind of like a snowball effect. It means more business for you. It means more referrals, more revenue, and more of the good stuff to really grow your business. And the last rule that I have for you, which is kind of something that I let slip earlier, is making sure that it easily leads them into your offer, okay? It needs to easily lead them into your offer. I mentioned you don't want to give away everything in your webinar, and I mean that really in two different ways. You don't want to overwhelm them and talk about all their problems at once because it will actually decrease the impact of speaking to that one main problem. But also, if you give them too much and you teach them the how, then they simply don't need you or your offer anymore. So let's say I was doing a webinar on how to use social media ads to grow your business. If I taught you literally step by step, how do you prep for the ad? How do you write the ad copy? How do you actually place the ad? And then how do you manage the ad? And I'd show you step by step. You'll learn everything you need to know for free on my webinar. If I did that, then at the end of the webinar, I said, okay, so now that I taught you everything that you need to do, all you had to do is follow me step by step. I also have a course that will teach you exactly how to do this for X amount of dollars. Not one person is going to buy that because I already showed them everything that they need to do. The goal is to position your webinar topic and your webinar content to lead them to want to say yes to your offer at the end. So instead of showing them how to run ads, I could show them the overall theory around it and how it would impact them in their business. That way, at the end of the webinar, they would be wanting to move forward. They'd be wanting to place their own ads, but they have to learn how to actually do it. And then I would put my offer in front of them, which is solving the how do I do this step. See what I did there? So the goal for your webinar topic should be that it will be a very, very easy transition into your offer. Typically, when I'm coming up with my webinar topic or my clients' webinar topics, I'm actually working backwards. I look at their offer. What are they offering at the end of the webinar? Which essentially really is the goal for doing the webinar in the first place. I know we're doing this to generate leads or sales or whatever. But what are they selling? What are they promoting? That's what I'm looking at. So typically, and I'll say typically very, very lightly, because typically if they're selling a course or a service or an item, they know what they're talking about. So that's going to cover the whole make sure you're an expert and make sure you're knowledgeable on that step. Then I focus on what is that offer actually solving. Sometimes, yes, it can be multiple problems, but I'm always going to choose one. For example, my Spotlight Theory program, it helps entrepreneurs generate more clients in the online world. AKA, the problem is that they want to grow their client base, but they don't know how. And then I focus on choosing a topic around that. I know the problem is that they need more clients. And I know the strategy that I would take with myself, my clients, and what I teach within my course. I know that strategy from the back of my hand. I know at the end, I want them to see how my course is going to help them solve the problem of not having enough clients. So I need to focus on explaining why they need this process in the first place. And then really it all just starts to flow together. Does that make sense? It really is pretty interesting when you actually break this all down to a T. So remember, next time you choose a webinar topic, make sure it's a topic that is relevant to your audience. Find a unique angle or a unique perspective on the topic that's actually going to solve one major problem. Teach something that you are knowledgeable about, and if you can, very passionate about. It's going to go a long way. And lastly, make sure it leads them to ask, well, how do I implement this? And then that leads them to saying yes to your offer. Now, of course, that's just coming up with the webinar topic in general. The actual webinar itself, that would be the next step that we want to focus on in terms of developing the slides, developing the structure of the webinar. What are you actually going to be teaching? I know I didn't dive into that too much, but what I can do is give you access to my webinar outline that I honestly follow to a T with all of my webinars. What I'm going to do is link that in the notes right below this episode for you. That way you can get instant access. So follow that to a T. Once you come up with your webinar topic, it's going to break it all down for you. And remember, if you want to create a webinar that will help increase your conversions, that will help boost your results, start by following these 4 simple rules. And don't forget to tune in next week when we start to talk about how do you use Google Ads to scale your business. You can even run Google Ads to promote your webinar if you really want to take it up a notch. In the meantime, make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you are notified when that episode comes live, okay? And while you are doing that, make sure to leave a rating and review, because in 2 weeks, I'll remind you, I'll be choosing one review, and that person will get free access to my social media automation bootcamp program, which is how to automate the front end of your social media. But besides that, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.